All right. What's going on, you guys? It's your boy 360 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing TKOG, and we are continuing on with episode 4 of revisiting past formats. So far we've covered 3 decks from the 2015 format. It's pretty much in between like New Challengers, Duelist Alliance. There's a lot happening at that time. You had so many decks that could have all been considered the best deck. There's just a wide variety, and I like that. That's a really like healthy format in my opinion, where there's so many decks that are good that you can't really just say, oh, like you have to play this deck in order to win. You had Ritual Beasts, you had Shaddoll Knights, you had Yang Zings, you had actually, Infernoids didn't come out at exactly when everything else came out, but they came out a little later. They were around this time. You had Infernoids, you had Shaddolls, you had Burning Abyss, you had Cleaveforts, you had Necros. You had a lot of decks that were all really good, and these were the decks that were consistently topping at that time. You still had your random rogue decks like Hand, Artifact, Trap Tricks, which really wasn't rogue. Some people considered it rogue, but I feel like that deck was just a part of the family. Hat was really strong. Ultra Athletes ended up coming out around this era between, this is like between 2015, 2016. I picked 2015 because that was just a golden era, in my opinion. It was like just a really great year. This is my shit-all list for that era. So let's say we're still in 2015 right now. This is what I would be playing. So the first 3 decks that we covered were Burning Abyss, Satellar Knights, and also we covered... I'm trying to remember, was it Necros? I forgot the third one. But anyways, getting past that, Shaddolls, obviously, in my opinion, if I was in that format, Shaddolls would be the best deck to me. This would be my go-to choice. I just feel like this deck was able to outperform against almost every matchup. Like, your BA matchup, it was pretty nitty-gritty. There were times when they could deal with your window. There were times when they couldn't. Both those decks were able to grind, but I think Shaddolls were just superior in every way. They were just an exceptionally powerful deck. But BA was probably the only deck that I would say was able to just like tank with this deck. Cleaveforts were cool. Cleaveforts were alright. I don't think that they were like literally like just the best deck. Outside of having access to their floodgates, the Clee cards themselves did have some pretty decent spot removal that did help you to deal with the floating and recovery of your fusion monsters. But in general, Shaddolls were just able to outgrind most decks at that time, and they had amazing setups for potential plays with L, which was just so powerful. This card was super duper ahead of its time. And then you have the Necros matchup. Outside of the Genlock, you didn't really mind Unicorn to a large extent. It wasn't, and a cool trick with that too that we would be able to do. I don't know if other Shaddoll players were playing Call of the Haunted back then, but Call of the Haunted in the Necros matchup was pretty nutty because you could actually just summon a Construct, for example, off of Call of the Haunted, and as long as you were playing around Trish, it's like, dude, they just legit could not out Construct because they literally, like, it was not summoned for the extra deck. They had no spot removal as far as the Necros go to out this card, and you would just sit on it, and there was just like nothing they could do. It was crazy. But yeah, I'm kind of like bouncing all over the place with just talking about all these decks, but it's really just to give you an idea of what the format was. It was a pretty crazy and very fun format. But here is my list. So for starters, we have 3 copies of Sinister Shadow Games. This card is actually insane. If you open Mathematician with Sinister Shadow Games back in the day, it was like just GG no re. You were just way too far ahead for most decks to keep up. It was very powerful. Another cool thing with the Necros matchup was like your flip effects can put in work for you so that you don't have to rely on your extra deck solely to do your dirty work. But you did have a Noyatilis, which was just literally like an auto win against Necros. Against BAs, if they didn't open like a way to access Farfa, it was pretty difficult for them to deal with Winda unless they were like drawing Karma Cut all the time. You know what I mean? Like if they were drawing Karma Cut, like it was their job, then obviously, Winda was just gonna go bye-bye. But yeah, like you were just able to set these up, and it was crazy. Like, believe it or not, in this era, like I know people don't play Falco now. I respect Falco because like I know how good the card is, but this was a time when Falco was actually broken. Like Falco was your go-to play. You were using Mathman to Senskomata and dump a Falco and set your Falco, and that was an actual legit play back then. This is what we were doing with Shaddoll. That's crazy, and it baffles me. It's not like I'm a boomer or anything, but it really baffles me that Shaddoll players in 2021 and 2020 just think Falco sucks but then I play them in the mirror match and they always get outgrinded by me and I kill them with Falco. It's just hilarious. Like, I literally end up beating them because I'm like Falco looping my Op Cologne, Opco looping the Resh, and then Resh into Falco, Falco into Op Cologne, and just keep redoing it, recycling my extra deck. It's crazy. But anyways, so these are all legit starters. Mathman's insane. If you were worried about the Genlock, Mathman had some really cool tricks up his sleeve. You could dump Farfa to deal with the Genlock. You just banish that trick. You could dump Felice if you just needed spot removal, and you could mill some Shaddolls on the way. If you needed light access, you could dump Damage Juggler and get Trick Clown. You could also dump Eclipse Wyvern. There's just so many ways to set up with Mathman. He was just everything you wanted him to be and more. In my list in particular, Mathman has just a book of tricks all up his sleeves that he could just, at any given time, they were just there. He's just an arsenal in himself. Mathematician is absolutely powerful. He got hit to one for a reason. I mean, dude, he just does everything. Like, he can out back rows. He starts your engine. He gets you access to Falco. He searches Shaddoll. He could draw a card. I mean, this guy could literally just switch guys to defense just so you could beat over him. Don't sleep on Shaddoll Hound. Shaddoll Hound is very powerful. Check Unicorn's defense and then talk to me later. So, yeah, it's just crazy what Mathematician can do. Honestly, this card is just insane. I play 3 Rotas, so because you see I'm not main decking a buttload of Genlock outs, because Genlock was crazy. I mean, it was legit, like, you just couldn't special summon, right? It was pretty nutty. BAs just had their outs to Genlock in the form of Farfa. We were kind of cheating our way into it just by using a BA. Farfa's amazing. The new BAs that came out really made things a lot easier. Rota is similar to Mathman in the sense that it's a very, very multi-purpose card. Rota could do anything between outing Genlocks, putting pressure on fields, dealing with threats, spot removal, and also being a fusion outlet, because Rota could get Armageddon. Armageddon dumps any doll, so that's any Shaddoll effect you wanted it to be, because they were all dark at the time. And then you could have Blazeman if you needed to search a poly. You had Raiden if you just needed to search a light attribute and a tuner so that you can make synchro plays and mill some Shaddolls in the process. You also had Photon Thrasher. I mean, dude, it was just crazy what Rota could do in this deck. It's sad to see any Shaddoll player that's not playing Rota back then, because this card is just so multi-purpose. It outs the Genlock, it gets you a fusion, it outs back row, it applies pressure to the field. It's everything, right? It's like Mathman. It just does everything that you want it to do. It deals with threats, it's spot removal. I mean, dude, you could be looking at, like, just an example, like a Vanity's Fiend type deal, right? And you just be like, normal, dump Farfa, banish, be gone, thought be gone. It's just insane. Rota was so good. It's so multi-purpose. It's crazy. Then we had our Rota targets, Armageddon Knight, Elemental Hero Blazeman, which is how you could turn Rota into a poly searcher. That's why I put him in, because I want my cards to do, I just want the most utility as possible. That's what Shaddolls are. They're a utility / toolbox deck with great recovery, a lot of different problem-solving cards. They have floodgates. They have cards that don't let you play the game. They have negators. They're very reactive, interactive. Just a very, very strong deck, if you ask me. Shaddolls are amazing, and Rota just synergistically, it just flows so well with this deck. It does everything you really want a Shaddoll deck to do. Get your Shaddolls and your fusion materials. You can't ask for more than that. And to get your fusion spell and out of Genlock, and even banishing Dante so that you just don't have to deal with the crazy recursion. It's just amazing, honestly. Just banish Dante right then and there, deal with them later type thing. It just depends what you want to do. It's just crazy. So your 4 Rota targets, the Shaddolls, 3 Falco's insane. I don't care what anybody says. You can argue all day, act like you're the pro and stuff. I don't care. 3 Falco's is insane in this format. Falco was your main play. It's your go-to. It's your starting. It's your in-between. It's your late game. It's your like, it's everything, dude. This guy is your early game, your mid to late game. This guy is just everything. Like, Falco is the deck. He's your tuner. This is how you were getting access to your synchro plays outside of Raiden, right? Something that you could consider would be Stardust. Stardust is not that bad. Honestly, it's a crazy good card at this time in this format. Stardust is something you could consider as far as an extra deck staple. But yeah, Falco is amazing. Squamata's the whole deck. It's construct. In the main deck, we have Hedgehog. Hedgehog is also very, very nutty. 3 copies of Beast. Beast is amazing, you guys. Beast puts in work. A lot of work. Then we had Dragon. Dragon is also amazing. As a 2-of, you definitely want to play Dragon. And then I loved the utility that Hound provided making Mathman and Armageddon Knight even that much more powerful to be able to beat over threats or banish them, and also to recover my Shaddoll cards. This, like, you couldn't really recycle your extra deck to keep fusing, right? So when you were grinding, when you ran out of fusions, you just couldn't really grind that well, right? You could Falco to bring back the fusion all day, but Hound put them back into your extra deck so that you can keep making active plays, so you would just never run out of fusions, because, like, you could loop Hound with Falco. Falco is, it's just crazy how well this deck can grind. Hound was extremely underrated. It was just not played at all. But you guys know how I feel about Hound. And then next up, we have 3 copies of Effect Veiler for our hand traps. This is a light attribute, so it's multi-purpose. We also have Damage Juggler and Trick Clown for a small package, just to help you to get more lights to fuel your plays. Construct is a beast, right? She's the best card in the extra deck. We have Felice. This makes Mathematician just insane, because if you were up against, like, back row decks and they didn't have, like, a breakthrough skill or anything like that, Mathman could literally wipe a whole back row before you even make your plays, because you could just normal Mathman, dump Felice, summon Felice, synchro into Black Rose, and if they didn't have a response, you were just clapping all their back row, bro, and then you could proceed to keep playing. So it turned Mathman into, like, a better Shaddoll Dragon, if that makes sense. You could always just make Shaddoll Dragon if you were, like, you know, worried about it. But to be honest, if they had a breakthrough, they would have breakthrough skilled the Mathman. So if Mathman resolved and you got that far, in my opinion, I feel like you shouldn't be dumping Dragon. You should have just been dumping Felice, because like I said, if they had the breakthrough skill, they would have breakthrough the Mathman. You just don't let this card resolve 100,000%. And if you got that far, you might as well make Black Rose and C, you know, because at that point it's like Satellanova Alpha or bust. But anyways, yeah, we have Felice. She's insane. She's spot removal. She mills Shadolls. She's a tuner. What, like, you just have so much utility in this deck. My list is fire. I believe my Shaddoll list is super fire. It's crazy. I can OTK. I have so much pressure I can put onto the field. I can end people's careers, bruh, with my Shaddoll list. We have Farfa. Again, just, you have 3, 6, 7, like, 8 ways to access Farfa to out Jinlocks. You still had multiple different ways to deal with the Jinlock, respectively. And you had your flip effects. Your good old faithful Sumata still does a lot of work for you. Next up, Eclipse Wyvern. Obviously, this card's banned now, but not at that time. Eclipse Wyvern was really nutty to combo into Dark Armed. It's crazy. Like, the Chaos cards were really good in Shaddolls, because you were always getting Lights and Darks to fuel your plays, and you were legit, like, this makes Shaddoll Fusion, like, broken. I mean, super broken. When you had access to Chaos Sorcerer in a pinch and you could set your grave up, Shaddoll Fusion could be a huge push, because you'd be dumping this, like Squamata, for example, make your plays, construct, get whatever you need, set yourself up for your next turn. In the process of setting yourself up for an OTK, if you couldn't OTK, you were setting yourself up for the next turn anyways. But you had Wyvern, like, dude, it's nutty. Like, you were Dark Arm, dude, you were clapping, like, so many different boards. Like, Chaos Sork with Shaddoll Fusion is just nuts. What can I say? Like, it's just so broke. It's so broke. Like, Chaos Sork is insane, you guys. This card is insane. Like, to this day, he's not as good, but back then, Chaos Sork was insane. Like, banishing Dante's, dude, what more could you ask? Banishing Necros, it made it more difficult for them to grind with their mirrors. Oh my goodness. Chaos Sork was insane. Eclipse Wyvern into Dark Arm Dragon. You had main deck beat sticks that put so much pressure onto the board. Like, you could close games out so quick with my list, because I'm not playing the artifact cards. I'm not playing like a... My Shaddoll deck was like mid-range, but it was mid-range, but also at any given time, if I wanted to go aggressive, I could turn the pace up and change my momentum and just go super aggro at any given time that I wanted to. And if I didn't want to go aggro, I could still keep playing mid-range. I love my list, honestly. If anybody wants to play 2015 format, I'll clap you. In a fun way, we have BLS. Card was just nuts. Card was way ahead of his time. 3 Shaddoll Fusion, 3 L. You play 3 of each. I don't care what anybody says. This is non-negotiable. The 1 Poly, just for the Blaze Man, you have like 4 ways to access Poly. 3 Instant Ramen. This is how you could get Waters, because I respected the Necros matchup. Necros was arguably the most popular deck at that time. The Jinlock was just so sought after. People just wanted to lock you out of the game ASAP. Unicorn was broken. You know, you had Trishula. The Necros deck was just insane. Its toolbox was amazing. But with Instant Fusion, it served so many purposes, because you had Dweller. Dweller Winda was just, bruh. Like, you had Dweller Winda. It was, dude, it was just way too good at that time. Like, there was one XYZ that I really miss out on. It's, I'm just gonna go ahead and type it for you guys. It, like, destroys monsters that don't have their original attack, and you draw a card. I'm trying to remember. It's Ragna. Whoops. Ragna 0. This is something else you could consider, and the other reason is because it is a water, so whenever you're done with it, you could still make a Noetilis. But this card, like, just destroyed the Cleaford matchup. Not literally, like, destroyed, but I don't know. I'm just talking out the side of my neck now. It was just really decent in that format. Wasn't the best, though. Definitely was not the best. I take that statement back, because now that I think about it, when I remember Cleafords, oh my goodness. I'm not going to say, like, nightmares or anything or traumatized, but just remembering Cleafords in their prime, yeah, I take that statement back. Ragnar 0 is not an end-all be-all by any means, shape, or form. But anyways, yeah, Instant Ramen, just an idea. Ragnar 0 is a really cool card. It does, you know, it's pretty nutty. I mean, you draw a lot, and it's a water, so that you could still, when you're done with it, fuse into the Noetilis. The instant fusion targets are going to be Winda and Elder Entity Norden. Norden gives you access to water if you had level 4s. It was literally a 1-card Dweller, a 1-card Giant Hand. Giant Hand was amazing in this format. Exciton Knight, just couldn't go without it. Castell also, just having an ability to pretty much like non-destruction removal, and also putting back fusions like in the Shaddoll matchup was really, really good. Dweller was good when you're setting up. If you could put enough pressure to break the board and follow up with the Dweller is better, but if you're in the process of breaking the board, Castell was your go-to guy. Honestly, Instant Fusion is amazing. And again, it just gives you access to water. You're not main decking any water monsters. So the 3 Instant Fusions, like 3 honorary water monsters, and it's a lot of utility. Norden's just really, really nice. Honestly, you shouldn't really play Shaddolls without Instant Fusion at that time, because having access to the quick rank 4s was really nice. It was just a really, really good feeling. It helps you to play into boards better, put a lot of pressure, and Instant Exciton is nothing to sleep on. We also had Raigeki. It's just too powerful to not play. Foolish Burial, the same level of utility. This should be up here with the starters, actually. It should be right there. Soul Charge! Oh, man. When this card was at 3, right? Soul Charge is amazing, you guys. This card was just nutty in this deck. Soul Charge was broken. Super Poly, actually at the time, was at 1. Obviously, in this deck, this is the best deck to play Super Poly. Like, it just feels really nice to have access to this card, even when you didn't draw it, just knowing that you have it. It's a really, really crazy card, especially in that format, too. Shaddoll Core, you just can't play Shaddolls without this. This was just too integral for your grind game and your recovery, and the level of utility being that this lets you summon any fusion you wanted, and at that time that was really good, because even when you didn't have access to instant fusion, you could still make a Noetilis, so that the Necros deck just could not play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because when you realize it, they were either ritual summoning from hand or they were ritual summoning from grave with their cycle. There was no way they could play Yu-Gi-Oh! A Noetilis is just broken. It was an auto win, and then Call the Haunted to bring back your Windas, or for a tempo swing, bring back Construct. It's just really, really powerful in this deck. Call the Haunted is just insane, you guys. Oh my goodness. I mean, dude, like, honestly. And don't forget, Norden actually triggers on Special Summon. And Instant Fusion, believe it or not, like, if you go down to this text, this is really easy to overlook. This is treated as a fusion summon, so you could call the Haunted a Norden that was brought back off of an Instant Fusion because it was properly fusion summoned, because Instant Fusion said it's treated as a fusion summon. You could call the Haunted your Norden just to get even more tempo swings and go Norden, bring something back. It's just crazy what Call the Haunted could do in this deck. Even bringing back, like, bringing back Yazi was really good, because this card couldn't be targeted. So it was really hard for people to out this. Honestly, you just had so many hitters in your main deck and your extra deck. Like, your arsenal just had so much pressure, so many boss monsters, so many powerful cards that could win you the duel. And the fact that you could keep bringing them back as your opponent struggles to deal with one, you could just bring it back again. It makes Call the Haunted just really scary in this deck. I recommend you try this out. It's really, really strong, honestly. Now for extra deck, we had one Noetilis. I want to put the 1-ofs next to the 2-of Winda. 3 Construct, without a doubt, this is your main go-to. She's Bae. She's really powerful. This card puts in a lot of work. She keeps pressure on the field, makes people work really hard to deal with her. Winda, some matchups, like your Klee matchup, Winda was meh. Like, she was very, very meh. Like, against Klee, you will struggle a little bit, but honestly, these guys really helped out a lot. Like, your Chaos Monsters and your Dark Arm really helped in the Klee matchup, and also your Call the Haunted was really good if you could set up, for example, like, let's say, like, you had Armageddon Knight, and you went Call the Haunted for Armageddon Knight, you could dump Dragon and pop one of their skills. So, like, you had ways, and also setting up for El Shaddoll Fusion, because, like, you knew Winda wasn't going to do much, so you would want it to set up Construct instead. And Construct was a huge tempo swing on your opponent's turn, and if they bounced it, it's okay. You know, at the end of the day, she's going to do the work you need her to do. That's why Dragon was really good at, too. But anyways, Construct, Winda, then we have Shekinaga. Card's nuts. Having a Monster Negator in this deck, oh my goodness. And then a Noetilis, oh my goodness, Shaddolls are broken. Then we have Norden for our instant fusion target, our main go-to, and then you recur it off of Call of the Haunted. Yazi and Black Rose. Black Rose was just clearing fields, just like Exciton Knight. And then Yazi was here just to put in work. You really weren't going to pop cards with him. What you actually were going to do is sit on him. There are very few decks that could actually deal with him. Very few. Yazi was just insane. Like, oh my goodness. Against BAs, you really didn't mind sitting on a Yazi because a lot of their removal did target. It was really hard for them to get over this card. Like, very, very hard. It's just so powerful. Psyhemoth, you just really needed access to that banish. You don't really play Karma Cut in your list, so you need something similar. Psyhemoth was just amazing. You needed banishing effects in this format because you had a lot of floaters, a lot of graveyard recovery from cards that would touch the grave and get you more resources. So Psyhemoth was amazing. This is why Falco was so good. He's your main tuner. Then we have Castel, Exciton, Dweller, and also Giant Hand for your rank force. Giant Hand's really good. Don't underestimate this card. It's a very, very good card. So your extra deck was a whole nother toolbox. Your main deck is a toolbox. This is what I'm saying. Like, Shaddolls are just so good. Even in this time, there was so much that this deck can do. It was like a jack of all trades, in my opinion. I'm just so sold on this deck. Now you guys see why in 2021 and all these eras, like in 2017, in 2016, in 2018, in 2019, in 2020, and 2021, I'm still playing Shaddolls. All this time I've been playing them because I've just loved this deck for so long. Because now you guys see where I'm coming from. It's been this good for that long. So all the people that are just now saying they're good, and before then they were saying Shaddolls were bad, and back in like 2020 saying, oh, Eldritch the Golden Lord beats Winda, yada yada yada, and now they're bandwagoning back to Shaddolls. They're not true Shaddoll players. True Shaddoll players were literally playing this deck since its inception and never stopped. We never stopped. Even when Construct got banned, we were still playing. I was still playing Prediction Princess Shaddolls. I'm telling you guys. But that is going to end my profile. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. If you like my content and you see yourself watching in the future, do us both a solid. Subscribe if you want to support me and help a brother out, which I greatly appreciate it because honestly, times be rough sometimes. It be times like, man, bruh, like I'm telling you, we be hitting some like stumps in the road, you know, but I always overcome it because God is my provider. But if you want to support, you can donate, you can buy my merch, or you can even become a member of the Discord. Donating, the best way to do it is on Patreon because you can become a tier member. Reach out in the Discord. You'll talk to the people that are already part of my Patreon, and they will let you know exactly how it is, their initial experience, and what they get out of it, and they'll tell you if it's worth it to them or not. But anyways, with all that said, I'm going to close this and sign out. Peace.